Welcome to the QUniverse team's report on the Grassley Memo.
Letter between Senator Chuck Grassley and Senator Chris Coons, a reply to Mr. Coons' letter on the information compared between Senate testimony and the New York Times article on Donald Trump Jr. United States Senate, May 29, 2018. Via electronic transmission. The Honorable Christopher A. Coons, United States Senator. Dear Senator Coons, I received your letter dated May 24, 2018 regarding your concern about previous consistencies between Mr. Trump Jr.'s interview with the committee, the transcript of which I released on May 16, 2018, and the subsequent New York Times article published May 19, 2018. Your letter also referenced 18 U.S.C. 1001, the referral Senator Graham and I made regarding Mr. Steele and your request that Mr. Trump Jr. testify at the public committee hearing. To clarify, Mr. Steele's referral was based on contradictory information provided to two sworn statements to courts. In contrast, your concern is based on a perceived inconsistencies between a committee interview and a news article. Unfortunately, as we have seen all too frequently, reporting related to Russia investigation and Trump campaign are often inaccurate. Rather than Mr. Steele referral, a more apt comparison would be when Mr. Glenn Simpson told the committee in his interview that the FBI had told Mr. Steele it had a source inside the Trump campaign, and then after the ranking member unilaterally released that transcript, subsequent news reports seemed to contradict this statement, claiming that Mr. Steele was actually just referencing Mr. Papadopoulos' statement to Alexander Donner, given that the discrepancy was between testimony to the committee and unsworn news reports. I simply wrote to Mr. Simpson's attorney, referring to the potential discrepancy with the news reports and asked if his client stood by his testimony. He replied that his client did stand by his testimony. You asked for my views about the issue raised in your letter. I would suggest Mr. Trump Jr.'s attorneys be asked about these press accounts. Notable, even if the reporting is entirely accurate, it's not clear that anything in that article contradicts Mr. Trump Jr.'s testimony, let alone materially so. Your letter cites the 5 questions from the transcript, but the last 3 do not appear to be implicated by your content of the New York Times article. Even regarding the other 2, while impossible there could be contradictions, there are potentially innocuous explanations as well. Of course, where we do have actual evidence of misleading testimony in the committee interviews, we should treat it seriously. For example, when the committee staff interviewed Glenn Simpson on August 2017, majority staffer asked him, "So did you do any work on the Trump matter after the election date? That was the end of your work." Simpson answered, "I have no client after the election." As we know, that was extremely misleading, if not an outright lie. The contrary to Mr. Simpson's denial in the staff interview, according to the FBI and others, Fusion actually did continue Trump dossier work for a new client after the election. As part of the public release of the House Intel Committee's major report on its Russian investigation, the executive branch declassified some previously classified information from an FBI document. That information detailed a March 2017 meeting between Daniel Jones and the FBI Mr. Jones stated that he was leading a research and investigatory advisory organization called the Penn Quarter Group, which had secured the services of Steele and his associates, redacted, and Fusion GPS to continue exposing Russian interference in the 2006 presidential election. Mr. Jones further told the FBI that the Penn Quarter Group was being funded by 7 to 10 wealthy donors located primarily in New York and California, who provided approximately $50 million. The report noted that Mr. Jones stated he planned to push the information he obtained from Fusion and Steele to policymakers on Capitol Hill, the press, and the FBI. As with statements to the committee, statements to the FBI, like Mr. Jones, are subject to 18 U.S.C. 1001. So despite the fact that Mr. Simpson said he had no client, after the election, he in fact did, and that client revealed himself to the FBI. As with the circumstances surrounding Mr. Seale's referral, we once again have two similarly contradictory statements in context with the material lies are criminal. I would welcome your views on what actions you are willing to take with regard to Mr. Simpson's testimony. Sincerely, Chuck E. Grassley, Senator. Synopsis. Senator Grassley has caught Glenn Simpson lying to Congress, and Dianne Feinstein dropped the original report intentionally. And now Kuntz is trying to frame Donald Trump Jr. for lying to Congress, but the evidence shows otherwise. Thus, Kuntz probably needs prosecuted for foreknowledge of the above crimes, since he's trying to run interference for the Democrat Party. He's probably comped, bought off, or part of the Hivite mind.